Several Mid-Missouri students are in the hospital after the bus they were riding in rolled over on I-70.
An overnight standoff ends in tragedy in Howard County.
New legislation, how it's helping businesses grow in the Show Me State. KOMU-8 News at 6 starts now.
From Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU-8 News at 6.
A scary stop for some Mid-Missouri school students on their way home. Their bus ran off Interstate 70 and flipped on its side. 18 people were on board at the time, including 15 students. Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Spain.
And I'm Rachel Whittle. The bus was carrying students from the Missouri School for the Deaf in Fulton, and the ones injured are at University Hospital. We have team coverage for you this evening, starting with KOMU-8's Tom Castleman, who's at the scene of the accident with details on what happened.
Good evening. I'm standing here at the Danville exit along eastbound I-70, where less than a half hour ago, towing companies were managed to pull away the bus after it crashed here alongside the exit ramp. Now, the state trooper said a witness said that the bus was in the passing lane going eastbound on I-70 towards St. Louis when it moved into the driving lane and then sped up the ramp, blew through a stop sign, and then careened off the side of the off-ramp here at the Danville exit. Now, there were about 18 people on board the bus when it crashed, and I talked to the state trooper who gave a brief medical update on the passengers.
Yeah, most of the injuries are considered minor. They're mostly scratches, cuts, and bruises of that nature. I understand one little girl had some teeth knocked out and things of that nature, but in a situation like this with that many people on board and turning over, we're very fortunate there were no fatalities.
Tom Castleman. There's no update on the cause of the reckless driving from the state trooper. He said he's not been able to interview anybody yet. Reporting live from Danville, I'm Tom Castleman. Now we're going to Jasmine Bailey at University Hospital for some more team coverage.
Thanks, Tom. And actually, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. There were no life-threatening injuries, and the hospital here, University Hospital, has actually already started releasing some of the victims. Among those victims were 15 students, all in their early teens, and the parents of those students and staff from the school were also rushed to the hospital. When I got here about 3 o'clock, there were around 6 ambulances still unloading victims. They wouldn't let me on the property to talk to any hospital officials, but again, there were no life-threatening injuries. Coming up at 9 and 10, we'll have more on the accident and what the Department of Education has to say about it. Reporting live from Columbia, Jasmine Bailey, KOMU-8 News.
Moving on, a Howard County man is dead after a standoff with police lasted more than a dozen hours.
Authorities say the man died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Let's take a look back at what's happened over the last 18 hours. Police responded to a domestic dispute around 11:15 last night. The dispute escalated quickly, but the man's wife was able to leave the home safely 15 minutes after the police arrived. KOMU-8's Lauren Bale has been following the story for us all day and joins us now live outside the home. Lauren, what can you tell us?
A SWAT team, state troopers, the sheriff's department, and local police began firing these torpedoes filled with tear gas into the house around 11:30 this afternoon in an attempt to end the standoff safely. However, when the police entered the house around noon, they found Davis upstairs on the second floor with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was dead when the police arrived, and a coroner is actually here removing the body right now. I spoke to the sheriff, and he said that he's known Davis for 20 years and that he spoke to him on the phone all morning trying to calm him down. He also says the sheriff's department did everything they could.
We had their negotiators were talking with him pretty much all day, trying to get him to turn himself in. The last thing we wanted was for this to happen.
Robert Davis had a small child. However, the child wasn't in the home during any part of this incident. The sheriff's department also said that Davis's wife and child are safe. Reporting live, Lauren Bale, KOMU-8 News.
Boone County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man today in connection with the Conley Road homicide. 20-year-old Damiante Cheatham was arrested and charged with second-degree murder after deputies stopped the vehicle he was driving. Police found Cheatham at the 700 block of North Providence Road. Cheatham had warrants from Jackson County. Back in June, Columbia police officers responded to a fatal shooting in front of a laundromat at Conley and Brickton Roads. 2 other suspects were arrested shortly after.
Columbia police are investigating a bank robbery that happened late this afternoon. They say it happened at the Landmark Bank on Garth Avenue. Police have a suspect description, but it is very vague. We'll update you as soon as we know any more information. Earlier this week, someone robbed the Landmark Bank on Stadium Boulevard.
Construction on the sidewalk at the intersection of 7th and Broadway delayed traffic this afternoon. The city is rebuilding the sidewalk to meet ADA requirements. A spokesman for the Public Works Department says the sidewalk is not safe for anyone. The sidewalk has 2 levels. The upper level has stairs at one end, and the lower level is not wide enough for a wheelchair. One wheelchair user says this is a great start for the city.
It's something that's a necessity because, even people like me like to get out, and it's really important for us mentally and physically, not to be just stuck in a house all the time.
Drivers should be prepared for more delays at 7th and Broadway as construction continues there over the next few weeks.
The Audrain County Courthouse renovations were supposed to be completed today, but there's still some work left to do. KOMU-8 News spoke with Tom Groves of the Audrain County Courthouse, and he said the renovations will not be done for another week and a half. Crews cannot do loud construction like grinding work while court is in session.
An online magazine names Columbia number 4 on the top 10 college towns in the country. Livability.com says they chose Columbia because of the rapid growth of MU and the city. Between 2000 and 2010, MU enrollment and the city population went up 30%. Livability says some factors they consider include student-to-resident ratios, educational attainment, and college-led outreach programs.
Well, I hope you had your umbrella if you headed out the door today because it was a rainy one. Let's check in with Morgan to see how much more we could possibly get. Morgan?
Well, good evening, Mid-Missouri. It was a bit of a rainy Friday.
All right, thanks, Morgan. Back to school, state sales tax free weekend. Why many local communities are not participating.
Easier job creation in Missouri, a new state program that could do just that.
A lot of that rain. But let's take a look here at your fan club. Join KOMU-8's fan club and help those less fortunate beat the heat this summer by donating a new or gently used fan that you can get at Lowe's in Columbia and Jeff City or at Westlake's Hardware in Fulton. The proceeds benefit the Voluntary Action Center in Columbia, United Way of Central Missouri in Jefferson City, and Serve Inc. in Fulton.
Especially when it's getting up to those 80s.
I know. Well, it could be a lot worse normally in August. We're trying to fight that triple degree temperatures, and now we're just in the 80s.
It's comfortable now.
All right. Thanks, Morgan. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. Concerns over revenue have led some local governments to opt out of this weekend's back-to-school state sales tax weekend. 18 mid-Missouri cities and towns, including Columbia and Jefferson City, will not lift their own sales taxes. In both cases, the city councils voted to opt out of all future tax holidays. One store manager says the whole situation is creating a lot of confusion.
I did not know that Columbia wasn't taking off local taxes. I wish that they were, because it gets confusing when the customer sees that there's still tax on there. And if we didn't have that, it'd make it a bigger deal, I think, in Columbia not to have it.
Places like Mexico, Missouri are taking part in the tax holiday. For a complete list of participating counties, cities, and towns in Mid-Mo, visit our website at KOMU.com. And later tonight on KOMU-8 News, we'll compare school supply prices all across Columbia to make sure you can find the best place to take advantage of the sales tax holiday.
New state legislation is making it easier for businesses that expand in Missouri to get a tax break. KOMU-8's Yuchin Pan tells us how a new program may make incentives more accessible to companies that create new jobs.
Yuchin Pan, KOMU-8 News, Mexico.
The new legislation will take effect on August 28th.
A boy was rescued after being flushed into a drainage pipe in a quiet neighborhood in Fort Myers, Florida last night. And as NBC's Jeff Spiewak reports, residents are calling first responders heroes.
And in good spirits when they arrived on scene.
What an incredible story. Switching gears now, the Missouri Tigers woke bright and early for practice this morning.
But there's a catch on the offense. Check it out next in sports.
Welcome back. Some news to tell you here. Boone Electric Cooperative has mentioned on its Facebook page that they're working a power outage in Boone County. They currently have restored the power to those living in Prathersville area and have crews working in Hartsburg and Woodlandville. There was a downed tree on a line and also some smoke coming from another pole. And like I said, they're working on getting that power restored as quickly as possible. To pitch it now back over to Morgan for an update on your weather.
Well, let's recap your weather really quick here. Showers and thunderstorms possible as well.
All right, thanks, Morgan. We'll see you back here at 9 and 10.